Well, hello and welcome to this second episode of the ThriveHer podcast. I'm Rochelle Waite, your No Nonsense Naturopath, and I'm so glad that you're joining me again today. If you tuned in last time, you know we kicked things off by talking about small actionable steps that lead to big, lasting health changes. Well, today we're going to take that conversation a step further by diving into a concept that can truly transform your approach to wellness: abundance. Now, I know when some people hear the word abundance, they think of it as a hippie woo-woo term. No offense to my hippie woo-woos, you're beautiful. But they think of it as something abstract or metaphorical. But let me tell you, abundance is not just a mindset, it's a crucial practical aspect of how we care for our bodies, especially as women. Let's start by challenging something many of us have been led to believe, that the key to health and happiness is through restriction and limitation. How many times have we been told not to eat certain foods, to lose weight at any cost, to avoid taking time for ourselves because it's seen as selfish or neglecting our families? These ideas have been so ingrained in us for so long that they almost feel like the truth. But here's the thing, they're not. The reality is that our bodies are actually designed for abundance. If we think about our ancestors, the cavemen, for instance, they lived through cycles of feast and famine, and their survival depended on making the most of the times of plenty. There is something that's deeply wired into our DNA. When we restrict ourselves, whether it's by cutting back on food or pushing our bodies too hard with exercise or denying ourselves the rest and care that we need, our bodies start to think we're in survival mode. They respond by conserving energy and focusing only on what's absolutely essential, like keeping our hearts beating and our brains minimally functional. This is why it feels so hard to make lasting change when we're stuck in a restrictive mindset. Your body is just trying to keep you alive, not help you thrive. And here's the kicker. When we're constantly living in this state of stress and limitation, it actually works against our health goals. Instead of burning fat or building strength, our bodies hold on to everything, conserving energy for that famine that it thinks it's just around the corner. And this is absolutely what we see in yo-yo dieting. Another one of the clearest examples I see of this that happened to many women, particularly during the early stages of perimenopause, a time when hormones are already fluctuating madly, and these fluctuations themselves can be a significant source of stress on the body. When our bodies are under this kind of pressure, they start to prioritize only the most essential functions. Like, as I said, keeping your heart beating and your brain minimally functional. Hair growth, on the other hand, isn't vital for survival. So it's one of the very first things that the body sacrifices. This is why many women experience hair loss during this time. It is a stark reminder of how deeply these hormonal shifts and the accompanying stress can actually impact us. So I want you to take a moment and think about your own life. Have you ever noticed how restriction feels in your day-to-day routine? Maybe it's in the way you approach food, exercise, or even how you manage your time. How might these things change if you embraced abundance instead? What would it feel like to nourish your body and mind with what they truly need rather than constantly pushing yourselves to the limit? The key to balancing abundance with the realities of a busy life starts with a simple shift in thinking. We've absorbed so many ideas over the years about putting everyone else first, about sacrificing our needs, and it's time to start challenging those. When you begin to make small changes towards an abundant mindset, you might be surprised at how it can open up more space in your life. You could find yourself with more energy or just feeling a bit more overall balanced. And don't think it's just you struggling with this. This scenario of overworking, putting others first, and neglecting our own needs is incredibly common, even among us naturopaths. We're trained to care for others, to be that source of support and healing, but it's easy to forget that we need to apply those same principles to ourselves. I've seen it time and time again in our field, naturopaths who are so dedicated to their clients that they end up running themselves into the ground. And here's a really good analogy that we often hear on planes. Fit your own oxygen mask before assisting others. There's a reason they tell us that. It's because if you can't help anyone else if you're running out of air yourself. Same goes for life. We need to make sure we're taking care of our own needs, whether that's rest, proper nutrition, or mental well-being, so that we're fully able to support others. It's not just important, it's essential. We're all in this together. We're navigating the same pressures and challenges, but the key to thriving in any professional life is embracing abundance for ourselves, just as much as we do for others. It's about recognizing that giving yourselves permission to rest, nourish our bodies, take time that we need. When we're doing this, we're actually empowering ourselves to be stronger, more resilient, and therefore more effective in everything else that we do. And of course, it's not always easy, but when we support each other and prioritize our well-being, it makes all the difference, not just for us, but for everyone else we care for. When we shift from a scarcity mindset to one of abundance, it's not just about changing our habits, it has a profound effect on our emotional and mental well-being too. Letting go of that constant worry about not having enough, whether it's time, energy, or anything else, can really lighten the load. When we stop operating from a place of lack, we naturally start to feel less stressed. It's like telling ourselves, I have enough and I am enough. And this simple shift can do wonders for our mood. Instead of feeling like we're always behind, we start to appreciate what we have and notice the little joys in life. And it's amazing how this change in perspective can actually make everything feel a lot more manageable. So how do we shift from this restrictive, scarcity-driven mindset to one of abundance? You guessed it. The answer lies in small, actionable steps that you can start incorporating into your daily life right now. One of the most common patterns I see among women, whether you're trying to lose weight or juggling busy schedules or simply following long-established habits, is that they're often not eating enough, especially when it comes to protein. Protein's essential. It's the fuel our bodies use to power metabolism, build and repair our muscles, and maintain our overall energy levels. In a sense, it's what gives us the strength to run away from that saber-toothed tiger that the caveman's so worried about. One of the simplest and most effective steps you can take to ensure that you're getting enough protein is that every time you have a meal or a snack, include some protein in it. This does two important things. First, it helps meet your body's protein needs, which, as I said, is crucial for your overall health. But secondly, it helps you feel full and satisfied, which can prevent you from reaching for far less nutritious foods later on. The beauty of proteins is they're often paired with good fats, and it is the perfect combination to stabilize your blood sugar and help you feel full and happy. So, try this for a week and see how you feel. then I'd love you to head over to the ThriveHer tribe or the ThriveHer LinkedIn group and share your experience. And here's the great thing about this. You can't really overeat protein from whole foods. Your body will naturally signal when it's had enough. However, I want to point out though, it's always important to be mindful if you're using protein supplements, because it is possible to overdo those. As you will learn if you continue listening to the ThriveHer podcast, I have a real passion for letting you know that real food is best wherever possible. So when we're talking about abundance, especially in the context of wellness, it's important to clarify that we're not talking about overindulgence. It's not about eating all the pizza and beer you want. It's about learning what your body truly needs and nourishing it in a way that makes you feel amazing. One of the most surprising and rewarding things I've noticed when people start this journey is how much they end up loving real whole foods. It's like a light bulb goes off in them and they're genuinely excited. Funnily enough, especially the men. They'll come up to me practically glowing, talking about how they never knew real food could taste this good. And what's even more incredible is the sense of freedom they discover. It's a kind of joy and satisfaction that's tough to describe unless you've felt it for yourself. And here's something that might surprise you for those who hate cooking. This newfound love of real food often comes with a genuine excitement about preparing it. People who once felt, too busy or disinterested in cooking suddenly find themselves eager to try new recipes and experiment in the kitchen. And they actually enjoy the process. Not entirely sure they enjoy the cleanup. However, this is the abundant mindset at work again. These are the same people who used to think they didn't have the time or energy to cook. And now they're discovering when they nourish themselves properly, they do have the time and they love it. And don't even get me started on growing your own food. We'll probably dive into that in another episode somewhere down the track, because it's, once you start down this path, it becomes all connected. Cultivating your own food is just one of the truly amazing ways you can embrace abundance. And it's experience that naturally leads us into a deeper awareness of the world around us. So speaking of awareness, this is where mindfulness and gratitude come into play. When we talk about embracing abundance, it's not just what we put on our plates and how we manage our time. It's also about how we perceive and appreciate our lives as a whole. Mindfulness and gratitude practices are incredibly powerful tools for reinforcing a mindset shift. They help us take a step back, pause, and really see the abundance that's already present in our lives. And there's something that's almost magical that happens when we take a moment to reflect, to dream, and to simply be present. When we practice mindfulness, we're essentially training our brains to be more present, which helps calm that constant worry about the future or the regrets of the past. It's like giving your mind a mini vacation from all the stress. And gratitude, well, that's about shifting our focus from what we don't have to what we do have. And there's some fascinating research showing that regular gratitude practice can boost those feel-good chemicals in our brains like dopamine and serotonin. So when we take the time to really appreciate the good things in our lives, we're not just thinking positively, we're actually rewiring our brains to be happier. And it's this shift in mindset that doesn't just happen on its own. It's something we cultivate through small intentional actions, like eating enough protein. Look, as we wrap up today's episode, I just want to quickly recap what we've covered. We've talked about how shifting from a scarcity mindset to one of abundance can have a profound impact on both our physical and our mental well-being. And we have discussed practical steps to start embracing abundance in your life, making sure you're getting enough protein, finding joy in nourishing your body with whole foods. Let's remember to drink water too, please. But remember, this journey towards abundance doesn't have to happen overnight. We want to start with small, manageable changes and give ourselves the grace to grow and evolve over time. And as you begin to notice the positive changes, whether that's feeling more energized or enjoying your meals or simply feeling less stressed, I'd love to hear about it. I would really love you to head over and participate in the ThriveHer tribe on Facebook or the LinkedIn ThriveHer group, because your journey could be the inspiration someone else needs. On the next episode, we're going to be talking about springing into summer. And what that's about is taking the next 3 months to really prepare yourself for the new year. We're talking New Year's resolutions on steroids. We're talking about being prepared and taking those meaningful steps and forming habits so that by the time we get to the silly season, our body is prepared and we can handle all the stresses and strains of that. So thank you for spending your time with me today. If you enjoyed this episode, I'd love you to consider subscribing to the podcast. Until next time, keep believing in yourself, keep thriving and striving for more, because your best life is just ahead.